My lords, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to part 2 of our Railway Mania playthrough. As we saw in the cab ride outro on episode number 1, we are very close to completing this task right here, and we should see it tick through in the next couple of moments once we unpause the game. But before we do that, let's just take stock as to where we are. So we've completed our first 2 tasks without too many issues. We're getting close to completing this one. We're over a quarter of the way through there, so this one should tick through pretty soon. We have until December next year to do that, so that shouldn't be a problem. We're just about to tick into April of 1845. And then of course we have our 3 optional tasks here. Grow London to 120,000 citizens, have 3 citizens with 100,000, sorry, have 3 cities with 100,000 population or more on the network, and then have our company value exceed 30 million. So these will tick along in the background. We have plenty of time to achieve these, so these aren't time critical right now. We are going to focus on our primary tasks, and I don't think there's much else we can really do at the moment. Perhaps we can see, well, we did say about maybe getting some corn brought into London as well. We do have corn down here at Higgins Farm. However, we're a bit short on cash at the moment. And there we go, as predicted, there is that task now completed as well. How many services do we have down here? I think it's just the one, isn't it? Let's have a look. Yeah, it is just the one, so we don't need to worry about removing any trains from that service. That's good as it currently is. So yes, bringing corn into London, then it's going to help London grow, and it's also going to help us get towards that 80 cartloads of goods brought into the city itself. So let's have a look. We don't have any corn at the moment. We also need to get vegetables and probably milk at some point as well. We have milk available here. Vegetables, we'd have to get the concession to East Anglia in order to unlock that. But the corn and the milk should be pretty straightforward. At some point we'll need these fruits as well up here on the east coast at Edwards Farm, and that's fine, because what I think we might do for the fruit and the vegetables is put a warehouse at Wensley Terminal to stockpile the fruit and the veg, and then the trains that are going into Wensley Terminal to pick up the grain, they can also pick up some of the fruit and veg from that warehouse as well. But for now we need to get this corn addressed, so let's have a station down, let's see, around about there, Higgins Station, and then we'll run a line from Higgins Station and just bring it into that line that we have that heads down to Dover Priory. We only have 1 service running down there, if you remember. We checked that a few moments ago, so it shouldn't be too congested down here. Let's just see if we can't maybe get that a little bit faster. 42 miles per hour looks like our max. Don't really want that small tunnel there, so we'll put another track marker there just to get rid of that. And then what we'll do is we'll double track down. To save money, we'll only have 1 platform here, so what we'll do is just merge these in like so. We need the track direction signals set up like that. We have a supply tower here, so we don't need another one, I shouldn't think. We can't afford any locomotives at the moment, so we'll just fast forward or accelerate the game speed just to accumulate some money a little more quickly. And as soon as we have enough money to set up this line, we'll go ahead and do that. But in the meantime, we may as well get it ready in the background. And we'll have a full load, 8 carts. It's going to be freight only. Let's just rename it to Corn to London. And can we get a locomotive yet? I'd like to get the G&M American, really. So we're not too far off being able to afford it. There we go. What? I thought we'd done our track signals. Ah, it's this bit here where we haven't done them. Okay, so let's just sort that out. And down here as well. Okay, now they will be happy. So that train should now appear and start to load up. There we go. and it's already got a full load of corn. So that's going to help the growth acceleration, or accelerate the growth rather, here in London, which is critical to not only our bonus objectives, but also to getting those 80 cartloads of freight brought into London as well. So we're getting double benefits from this one. We can't afford the maintenance station, or the maintenance depot, warehouse, whatever you want to call it, sidings at Higgins Station just yet, so we'll not bother with that, but I would like to get one down. As we can see, these trains that are loading the grain, they are waiting for a while at the moment, so having that warehouse with additional options for freight at Wensley Terminal would see them pull out a little bit faster, so that's going to be quite useful. I would like to start maybe growing some of these cities as well, Liverpool, Manchester and York. In the meantime, we do have some research to take care of, and I don't think there's anything else from the early era that we can get. I think we'll just wait on until we get 200 research points, and like we said in episode 1, we'll look to get that, that technology of bribery to keep our costs down. Okay. So what next? Do we want to focus on getting more stuff into London? It's growing at the moment, and it's growing pretty decently at 70%. So I think maybe we'll invest in some of our northern cities next. And bringing some grain into York should be fairly straightforward. There is a line here, a private line. However, there's nothing running on that. York is probably getting a decent overland supply, if I'm honest. But we can still make a bit of money off of that service if we were to set one up. So I think that's what we'll do. So let's have our station here, and I'm putting it at this angle because eventually we'll have a line that comes up to the Cornburn estate, and it'll pass through Lockhart Terminal before heading into York itself. So let's have a look now then. So let's do, not that, what's happened there, or just, where have we gone? We jumped all the way down there. Let's have a line like that. No bridges, no tunnels, so as cheap as it possibly can be. And do we want to double track? It'll leave us with very little money, but it will future-proof it, so I think we will go ahead and double track. We can't afford to double track it, so never mind. We'll get the money because we do want it double tracked, because that way it is future-proofed when we start running the corn trains down here as well. We want grid iron, of course, so we'll put grid iron there and there, and we will need a supply tower, which we can't afford at the moment, but as we can see, our average balance per week is growing each and every time we check it, so it's not going to take as long to get to 28,000. And there we go, that's 28, that's the supply tower. So now we want a, what I might do actually is have one that runs to all of these cities. So Lockhart to York, back to Lockhart to Manchester, back to Lockhart once again, and then into Liverpool. And that'll supply all three. And to start with, we'll run one train, but we might need to increase that to make sure that these cities don't run out of supply before the train gets there for the second and, you know, and the next time in, if you know what I mean. But running one for now, it at least gets some growth stimulated, hopefully, or at least pushes towards getting that growth. So we'll just call this grain to the north, because we are going to hit several cities. And to make sure they're as fast as possible, I think we'll set a minimum of 3 wagons. If they want to take more, they can do, but it'll just stop them hanging around while the other cities that are part of this route are eating through their supply. So that to that, we don't want them to pick anything up in York. Head to Lockhart, head to Manchester, head to Lockhart, head to Liverpool. And we'll do the same for these cities. Set this to 3 and platform number 1. And the same again here, 3 and platform number 1. And then at each of these, set these to 0 so they leave straight away. So that should work. We need to unpause it so we can accumulate some funds, because again, I guess we're going to use a G&M American for this, 56,000. The only problem we do have is, if you remember, this bit of track here is very slow because we've got quite a steep gradient here. We do need to address that, but as we can see, we don't have the money to do it right now. So I'd rather get this line up and running first of all, and then maybe get the money to just rework this little bit here. Wonderful, that's that task completed. So we'll allow Mark Hewish to say his spiel. I think that's just, yeah, remove that line that we were setting up. In fact, let's just come back to that because we want to look at our task list, don't we? Okay, so the earliest one is June 1847, so we've got over 2 years for that, and that is to construct the extensions, restaurant and market hall at Birmingham. Okay, grow Birmingham to 35,000, so we need to do some growth in Birmingham. 800 passengers and 800 mail bags transported from the city of Birmingham. Well, that should be ticking away as soon as we unpause. And reach 120,000 citizens in the Northern England region, and that includes Liverpool, Manchester, York and Carlisle. Okay, so we're quite close to that already. We need about 35,000 in total, and across 4 cities, well, we'll say 3 because we don't have a connection to Carlisle yet. So that's just what, about 12,000 per city, which should be, in theory, quite straightforward to do. Anyway, let's now get this set up for the third and hopefully the final time, and we'll repeat the previous setup. So 3 0 3 and 0 and 3 and finally 0. Rename this. So this, what did we call it? We called it grain to the north, didn't we? And G&M American, we can now afford it. Is it worth waiting to get 2, do we think? Because it's going to take a while for them to get back to, for example, once he's done York, they're going to be waiting a while before the next delivery arrives in York. And 113,000, that's not a great deal of money. We are making money pretty quickly, up to 50,000 per week. So I think, yeah, we'll wait and get 2 trains for this service. And that should keep these 3 cities pretty well supplied. We might even need to increase to a 3rd train at some point, but I think to start with, 2 is going to be more than enough. The other thing we want to look at doing is getting some meat or some cattle into both Manchester and Liverpool. And we do have a ranch right here where this station is. So connecting these into this existing line should be pretty straightforward. And I don't think, yeah, look at that, the line utilization is quite low down here. So we're not going to have ridiculous amounts of congestion or anything like that. We need to start growing Birmingham as we saw, so we need to have a think about how we want to do that. We're already supplying cattle and grain, as we know. Can't remember if we did sugar. If we didn't, we will do some sugar. We need to put the direction signals in, of course, so let's do that as well. There we go. So they should start filling out quite nicely. Do we have a line serving sugar into Birmingham? Let's have a look. No, we only have the one that's bringing sugar into London. And let's just rename that line because that doesn't quite suit, does it? So this is sugar to London. So I think what we might do is another service from here down to Birmingham. In the meantime, we can get the bribery technology next, so let's do that. And now let's get this sugar into Birmingham. Let's go on to platform 2 for this, and let's do a minimum of 2 because we don't want them to hold up the London delivery unnecessarily, and sugar isn't a massive in-demand commodity, so 2 should be enough. Let's rename it to sugar to Birmingham. That way we don't have to remember what McGowan train station is actually servicing. Locomotive G&M American, we only need 1, set it to freight only. And there we go. So that's grain, cattle and sugar all now available or soon to be available in Birmingham. Let's just have a look here. So I think maybe we'll get some cloth brought in. We have a line, or we have a station in Oxford, So we can easily bring in cloth into Birmingham as well. That'll help some growth. And where's the nearest source of corn? Do we really want to run corn all the way from down here up to Birmingham? Or do we just, well, we have to get concession to get hold of Douglas logging? Yeah, that's one to ponder. How's London doing? Let's unpause it. London is doing pretty well. We now need both vegetables and fruit in London, which we have here and here, so getting the concession for East Anglia should be something of a priority. I think while we're waiting to determine our next big step, we will get a line from Oxford to Birmingham up and running. Let's bring you in. Oh no, that's not going to work. There we go. No tunnels, no bridges. 32,000, not too bad. And let's do the same here. 36,000 this time out. But again, it shouldn't take long. Oh, down to 40,000 per week. So our average weekly income has dropped somewhat, but it's not the end of the world. And then we'll get that train from Oxford to Birmingham up and running. That'll help stimulate the meat industry that we own, because of course Oxford will be demanding meat. And of course it's going to help because we're going to get some of these textiles into Birmingham. So bringing some wool into Oxford might be something we want to consider in the not too distant future to make sure this industry is well stocked. But for now, let's focus on just getting this service between these two. And if we keep it as automatic, that's going to help with our other task of moving 800 passengers and mail bags from Birmingham, because of course they will take passengers and mail as well. So let's go Birmingham New Street to Oxford. Automatic loading. G&M American 56,000 then. So let's go ahead and get the money for that. Should take us no more than a second or two. There we go. Right, we also want to get the, what was it, the market hall and the restaurant, that was it, at Birmingham. So the restaurant is cheapest at 54,000, so I think we'll get that one first, because that should be, in theory, a very straightforward task to tick off. And as we can see, just hidden there behind this, we are now expanding in Birmingham. What about up here? Any expansion up here yet? No, not yet. Okay. London continues to grow as well, which is obviously very important. Right, so we're near at 54. There we go. So that's the restaurant. The next thing we need is the market hall. That was 90,000 for that, so that's going to take a little while longer to get the money together, but that's should be okay. How are these services doing here? What's... Yeah, where's the other train? Where are you? You're at Lockhart Terminal. Whereabouts are you? Why did you not unload the grain at York? What's happened there? That's a little strange. Is it because we set them to 0 at these stations, do we think? What are you doing? What is happening here? So you're going to Manchester. Right, let's see if you... Oh, we've got the 90,000, so while we're waiting for him to get to Manchester, let's go ahead and get the second expansion... Not that. The second expansion at our train station, which is the Market Hall. And that's that task ticked off. Right, so where's that train? What is going off with these? Hopefully you will actually unload at Manchester Piccadilly this time. We didn't seem to do that last time, which is more than a little bizarre. So struggling up the hill, which we know is a problem, and it is something we need to address, but with 28,000 we're not going to do it right now. Really struggling on that bridge. Very much so. Let's see, where's our second train? I don't know where you're destined for next, so you're still waiting for this train to increase its distance. Right, where are you? You didn't unload. I think it's the line settings, which to me is a bug. Because even though we've told them not to load anything, they should still unload their cargo, but just not pick anything up. 3, yeah, York. Let's just set that to 8, and or maybe 1. Maybe, yeah, set it to 1. Because we don't want to... In fact, let's set it to 4. Then if you want to pick something up, you can. Yeah, let's see how it does. We might need to change that. So let's change that one to 4 as well. And then this one to 4. Has that taken? Yep. Now we'll have to see what happens when they come back on through. Where's that train that was increasing distance? Oh, you're still there. Right, let's see. Can we now maybe do something about this incline right here? Well, we're going to have to wait till the track is clear before we demolish it and try and relay it. And at the minute we have 2 trains passing. Let's just have a look at our research while we wait. What's this? Increase transport revenue from mailbags by 5%. Well, that's not a bad one, so we'll go for that. Okay, just have a quick look at our tasks, see how we're doing. So, looking good on those 2. Birmingham was in growth when we last checked. Hopefully it still is. We can, if we wanted to, and I think we do want to, we can now get a library in London because we've exceeded 50,000 residents. So let's do that to help stimulate more growth there. These guys are still not growing, but I think that's because of the what I believe to be a bug with the loading orders at these stations. So we'll have to check what happens. In the meantime, let's see what we can do with this connection here. So let's come out like this into there. 670,000. Well, that's because you're giving us a ginormous tunnel, which we don't really want. And you're giving us a tunnel there as well, which again, we don't really want that. Let's see, can we do something to get rid of that tunnel there? Maybe if we come in back here, bring it all the way up. This might take a bit of fiddling about to get this right, so I might put a cut in depending how long this takes, so you'll have to bear with me. 8%. Well, what if we just have a small tunnel here? 400,000. We need to have enough to rebuild the line, so 5%. Right, okay. Let's just redo this again. And let's see if we can get over this line here first. And a bridge would be nice. Let's get another track marker here and raise this up. What's the gradient there? 3%. 2%, 4%, 16% apparently. Well, let's bring you up. Why won't you just give me a tunnel? Oh, there we go. A bridge, sorry. A bridge. That's what we want. 10%. Alright, let's get rid of that one. And now... No. Nope. I think I may have made a boo-boo by deleting that line prematurely. Oh, this looks better. Let's sink that down. 4% isn't too bad. 4%, and then hopefully we can afford the rest of it. 187,000, so we can afford that. I'm going to go ahead and say we can't afford this. 54,000, 77. So what we might have to do then is have that come short temporarily. Oh, what's wrong with you there? Two ghosts. Well, of course you are. You're meant to be parallel. How bizarre. Right, so let's get rid of that and that. And let's try this again. You don't like that corner, do you? That's... Again, that to me has got to be a bug. Which is fine, you know, it's still not long since release. There's going to be a few things here and there to iron out. So what we might do then is 5%. Let's do that. Single track the tunnel, because that's where obviously the majority of the expense is coming from. 83,000. Okay, so let's just connect that in there. And then how far back do we have to go to be able to afford this? 70,000. We've got 51, so maybe down to there, and then you down to there. 57, so even further back it is. 45,000. So we've got quite an extended bit of single track here, which is unfortunate, but it's only a temporary fix. The main thing is our gradient over here should be a little bit more manageable now. Hopefully as well, our trains are now playing correctly. So you're going to York. We haven't got the money for that. So let's see, will you actually unload your goods in York? Who are you? You're York to Liverpool, okay. Will you unload? Why are you not unloading? That is absolutely bizarre. There's no reason for you to not unload there. Absolutely no reason at all. Let's go back to the line. Grain to the north. Manage edit rail line. Let's just set that to normal. And not that one. That one, let's set that to normal. And last of all, Liverpool Lime Street. Yeah, I know you run long direction with only single track. However, my priority here is not making sure you're double tracked. Sorry about that. It is making sure you're actually going to work, and I don't know what you're playing about at here. Right, so you're going to York. Is it Lockhart to York, Lockhart to Manchester, Lockhart to Liverpool, then back to Lockhart? This is utterly bizarre. Let's also set it to freight only. Yeah, I know. What, again, why have you... What are you doing? That is just ridiculous. I really can't see what we've done wrong here. Everything looks like it should work as intended, but it's not. And I can't figure out why. Well, I think we'll come about it a different way. Sorry for pausing it. What we'll do is, can we afford a warehouse? Yes. Okay, so we'll build a warehouse in York. The warehouse that we have in York, here it is, have it accept corn. Okay, yep, that's fine. Now go back here, manage this line, get rid of all of these other stops. So you're doing Lockhart to York. We always want to make sure you have a full load because you are supplying a warehouse and a city simultaneously. And we'll just have one train, so we'll get a bit of money back here. And where is our fellow? Where's our train? Nah, let's see that. So he's now going to go back, and hopefully when he gets to York, he will unload and start to populate that warehouse. In the meantime, we might have enough now to run a double track down here. Let's see, 37,000. Yep, we're going to be able to afford this. Let's just... didn't mean to demolish the whole lot, but we've done it anyway. Bring you into there. Get the track directions up there. And, oh no, that's not quite right. That's not going to work, is it? Track construction. There. So is that now doing what we want it to do? There, that's right. Okay, so now we've just got a single bit of track here, which is far more manageable. Right, hopefully now this works. And then this service here, the York to Liverpool Lime Street, I believe it calls it Manchester. Yes, it does. So when they get to York, they should also pick up some grain from time to time as well. So that's good. Can we upgrade this yet to a G&M American? Yes, we can, so we'll do that. And we might want to consider maybe having two services or two trains running this one service. Now you're unloading, that's good. That's better. Let's have a look at our warehouse. Nope, all the grain that you just dropped off there has been consumed by York, which is fair enough. But it shouldn't take you long to pick up another full load because, of course, you're stocking a warehouse and not just a city. Right, so we'll keep an eye on that and see how that performs. Birmingham is still growing and is growing quite nicely at 66%. Let's have a look what else we could maybe bring. corn, maybe. Yeah, I think corn is the next big one that we want to look at. And we could just come down here through Lockhart Terminal into York and have our warehouse at York also accept corn. That's probably not a bad idea. Is there anything else up here we'd want them to accept? Wool perhaps, but I don't think so. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's get a station at the corn farm and we'll put it just there to block him off, just to be annoying. Like so. Let's just straight shot this all the way down and then fine tune it. For example, by getting rid of that tunnel. And potentially that bridge as well. So that's 4% gradient there. Another tunnel there which we don't want, so let's get rid of that. So 4%, we've got another small bridge there, which again we don't really want. So our gradients are pretty good here. 4% is the maximum. 127,000, so we'll build that as soon as we can, but we're going to need to double track it as well. Supply towers and of course the train, so let's aim for about 300,000. Oh, we can issue a new bond and then pay off our... Oh, well that was a waste. Oh, I paid off the wrong bond, that's why. Right, so that's 200,000, so that should be enough to get this double track built. Ah, the little cheat icon, well, it's not a cheat icon, the automatic double track icon disappeared. 192,000 this time. Okay, so maybe we shouldn't have paid off that bond, but hey, we're saving on some interest payments, so I suppose that's worth it in the long run. Birmingham's still growing, yep. So what we are going to need is a service from Birmingham to York as well, which is easy to do. We can just connect in across here, and then Birmingham to York, and they will then pick up some... We don't want them to pick up grain, because that's destined for our northern cities. So we'll make sure we stipulate that they can't take grain, but they will hopefully take some of this corn that's been brought into the warehouse as well. Similarly, the corn should also go to Liverpool, Manchester, and of course to York as well. Research, we can't unlock anything at the moment, so we don't need to worry about that. Task list, how are we doing? Pretty good, pretty good. 10,000 more in Birmingham, should be fairly straightforward. These haven't really started growing yet, but we've got until 1848, so plenty of time. It would be nice to get them growing sooner rather than later, of course. Let's see, is the warehouse starting to stockpile yet? Yep, we've got 7. I guess it's telling me we've got 3 and another 7 incoming, maybe. And that's all destined for Manchester. So I'm thinking we might need 2 services on here, because it also needs to get some to Liverpool as well, doesn't it? So where are you going to? Oh, you're going to... Yep, Manchester with a full load of grain. Well, that's fine. What else could we get in York? You need corn. Sugar as well. We could get sugar in from McGowan's station into York. That should be fairly straightforward, but I think we'll see how we do once this corn line is activated, which we can now pay for the second stretcher track, and of course we want the gridiron there and over there. Supply tower, 27,000, we'll put one at the halfway point. So as it stands, we can't afford to get the train down here, and yet we are going to... Oh, we need to do the track direction, don't we? Keep forgetting that. It's not yet automatic to me. There we go. Right, so a new line from Burn Station down to York. We always want you to have a full load, platform 1. York, it doesn't really matter what platform you use. And this is corn, and we'll call it to the north again. In fact, no we won't. We'll call it to York Warehouse. Freight only. That should still be correct. Yep. G&M American. So we'll get one to start with, but as I said, we might need to have several trains bringing down corn, which shouldn't be a problem. Likewise, we might want to get another couple of trains bringing in the grain. How much would it cost to buy that? Yes, we can't afford that, but it would be a nice little money earner for us. Meanwhile, Birmingham and London are still experiencing growth, which is great. London's nearly up to 70,000. Our 3 northern cities that we are connected to Still not experiencing any growth, but I think the arrival of the corn and the grain should sort that out. This service here, do we want to have a second train on this one? Yes, I think we do. We've now got extra research points. We can either get division of labour, which increases the profit of all our rural businesses by 5%, which we don't have yet, or we can have cheaper tunnel construction. Well, let's go for the cheaper tunnel construction. That might be more pertinent straight away with our track laying and whatnot. So what's happening here? Why? Oh, because we've paused it, idiot. So yep, you're going to Liverpool Lime Street. You've got grain and beer. That's going to be nice for Liverpool. They'll appreciate that. How's our warehouse? Well, we've got 5 incoming with the looks of it, and I guess the other 2 will be for York itself then, or the other 3, sorry. You're heading up to the corn farm. So York is now growing, so that's good. That's one of our cities in growth. As we said, we probably want to increase the amount of trains we have on this service. Maybe even go for 3 of them. Really get that corn filling up that warehouse ASAP. We'll not need 3 here because it's such a short distance. I think. Maybe, do we want 2 in fact? Yeah, I think we do. We want to get it flowing as quickly as we can. I think the hold-up at the moment is just the industry hasn't yet expanded, but when the industry does expand, it should really help things flow faster as well. Liverpool's in growth, York is in growth, Birmingham's still in growth as well, as is London. Let's have a look at the tasks. Nearly done on this one, over halfway from this one as well. That's good to see. Do we want to get that connection from York to Birmingham as well? I mean, they also have that beer meat synergy, which would be quite nice, so that is probably not a bad idea. Or do we want to think about expanding into East Anglia to access this vegetable farm right here? And then, like we said, maybe getting that warehouse at Wensley Terminal to stockpile the fruit and veg, and that can go to London, possibly Oxford, and definitely Birmingham. I'm not sure yet. We'll make a decision on that, and we'll probably do that in the next episode. We've been about half an hour or so now, so I think going for the putting the cut in and having our outro is probably the best thing to do at this point. I guess the warehouse over here is full. Yeah. Why? Can you expand the size of it? I don't know what. It's different to obviously Railway Empire 1. Where you set a maximum or minimum, but it's fine. I think what we probably want to start doing at some point as well is increasing the amount of maintenance depots that we have on our network, just to keep our trains flowing as smooth as possible. For example, this one right here, we've just had a breakdown. So in Oxford, I think we will put our first extra maintenance depot, and that'll help that train, because if it's breaking down on this stretch of line, it's going to hold other services up, which we really don't want to see happen. But I think for now that's where we'll end it for today, so I'll pause it here, I'll save the game so we can pick up on November the 28th in part 3, and we'll have a train ride. And where do we want to go? Should we do the York to Liverpool one, because it goes through a couple of stations, and the cab rides are pretty fast on Railway Empire 2. It's certainly faster than what the train speed is telling me, so I think that's what we'll do. So let's save it. Okay, we are now saved. Let's find... that's the one we're looking for. We'll hop on board. I don't know where we're heading to. We're heading to York. Okay, that's fine. And we'll just do a couple of stops on this service. So ride along. Get into a more central position. Around about there. Yeah, stop fiddling. Just accept it. And away we go. So I hope you've enjoyed the episode and you are continuing to enjoy the series overall. Like I said in the outro to episode 1, certainly this one poses a few extra challenges to the first chapter, but I'm sure I think we're taking it so far in our stride, so we'll just have to see how we go. As always, a special thank you to my Patreon supporters. Your pledges and your support is absolutely fantastic, so thank you very much indeed. And as always, all that remains for me to say is, as always, take very good care of yourselves. It's ta-ta for now.